Thank you very much. Thank you for your presentation. I have just a few things to clarify. Reading your actual application, I got a bit confused at some point because you were saying at a point that there's a need to address the poverty challenge in order to meet the Millennium Development Goal to reduce poverty by half by 2015. And it seems to me that perhaps you copied and pasted from somewhere. And you were saying life expectancy at birth is still low at 47 years. I'm aware that national life expectancy has gone up to 52 years. I wondered whether Edo State had a lower life expectancy than the rest of the country. And I'd like you to please clarify that. Secondly, you talked about your plans to finance the development plan through statutory allocations, grants, and counterpart funding. It would just be good to give us an insight into how much of the current plan, the current Edo State Development Plan, is being funded and the extent to which it is linked to the budgets itself. Thank you.
From the first application, yes, you discovered we still mentioned the Millennium Development Goals instead of the Sustainable Development Goals. Yes, our long-term plan was last reviewed in 2003. And so many things from on that application, like you said, yes, was lifted. I want to apologize. Then during the presentation, we had to use the current data for our presentation, because from the understanding during the application, we thought we were to speak only on the development plan. And you know, if not revised or reviewed, I don't think you have this permission to just, but later I understood, and during the presentation, I amended that part. Then, from the costing, the implementation of our development plans or the financing of our plans, yes, we finance according to plan. We'll we'll first of all discover the available resources in the state through the MTF. We will have the microeconomic variable, or the variables that help to tell us the available resources in the next 3 years. Then we'll try to plan, and even if the plan is not really going according to plan, but we always have a step that we'll get to. And like you know, funds will restrict us on other issues.
Okay, so here is the place I want a bit more information about. So you have a plan, and you know that funds will restrict you. So I'm asking how much of the plan is reflected in the budgets, okay, and vice versa.
Okay, the plans that is reflected in the budget. In our plans, we have the quick wins. We have the medium term. We have the short term. We have the medium, and we also have the long term. So in our annual plan, we put only the quick wins and the short term. But in the MTSs, we put the long term plan. In that, when we achieve at a particular stage, in the following year, when we are reviewing, we drop and add. That's how we plan for everything.
Okay, so if I go to your budget, I'll see the things in your short-term plan in your budget.
Yes, you see the short-term plans majorly in the budget. Yes, sir.
So the same way is in your plan is captured in the budget?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Toyosi.
I would like to have some clarification on funding issue. As has the state actually made any effort to look at what you are doing now in terms of IGR, what potentials you have, and what are the opportunities that are there for the state to improve on the IGR? Also, I will appreciate if you can explain more why the state will not want to fund this development plan by itself rather than get funding, a kind of justification for this application. In terms of resources anyway, that is in terms of financial resources.
Thank you again, sir. Then the clarification on funding in terms of potentials and opportunities to improve IGR. So far, we've been able to block leakages in our IGR. We've been able to solve the multi-taxation. We have the various ministry claiming this duplication of duties. So we have this that's electronic collection of revenue in the state, which has so far been able to help us curb multiple taxation. Then we've increased our tax base. We also intend every year we'll have this increase in our IGR. Even the MTF for 2019 to 2021 has a higher amount in terms of IGR than the previous MTF. Then why the states wouldn't, sir? The state will want to, if the funds are available, we want to. We've tried, we try to get grants as much as possible to reduce our loans, so we won't have the problem of servicing. Then also, like I mentioned during the presentation, we have this gas exploration recently. We have the Chinese people, we have some investors coming in, boosting again our IGRO. So we really intend to, but we don't have the funds, and I think that's even why we're here. Thank you.
And and that is what worries me, because through and through all of the presentations, looks like I'm hearing so much about the funding, but in fact, the technical support that you'd receive from PIND is probably going to give you the kind of empowerment you need to access the kind of higher level resources you require. So I think it'd be great to look more beyond the funding. However, I wanted to talk about rural-urban migration in Edo State. You know the issue of Edo girls and going to Italy and all that. And you know the importance of empowering women in a state like this. I didn't quite hear much about what the state is, the very key steps that the state is taking to ensure that you are focusing a lot on girl child education. The reason I say that is because those ones that are already adult are formed and set in their ways. So if you begin to target the girls who are younger, it's easier to tell them that prostitution is not the way. And you can use, storytelling, especially because Edo is very big within the entertainment sector. And if I think about Nigeria today, the context is, if you look away from our oil, entertainment, agriculture, and technology, I feel like are the next new vistas. And if any government, and coincidentally, those three words form it. So you can technically lift your state out of poverty if you decide to focus on those areas. So I'd love to hear, when you talk about the sustainable development goals, how Edo is focusing on girl child education to reduce that level of awareness, to increase awareness on issues of prostitution and reduce the level of migration of girls to Italy. My second and last question is, I see that you're focusing a lot on building innovation hubs. And I've been following the Edo Jobs project on social media, where you're bringing techie entrepreneurs to Edo State to come and talk to your younger people. However, I wonder what you're doing with your tourism industry. The Emotan and all of those tourist attractions in Benin, in Ishan, in all Ekpoma and all those places. I don't know what you're doing to boost your tourism sector as a way of increasing your internally generated revenue, specifically leveraging the talents that you have within the entertainment sector. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Okay, on the focus of the girl-child education and also to reduce migration, I would like to also inform you that it's not only the girl child that is involved in migration, we also have the boys, also a very large number of them. Then for the girl child, in Edo presently we have the free education. Migration problem is far above education and all those poverty. You know, some of them, they've gone there, and when they come back, they want to have the same treatment they had over there. They were paid in dollars. So when they come back, yes, we give them, we pay them for some months. The tax force, no, in Naira, definitely we can't pay them in dollars. So we try to keep them. And I'll shock you to say that some of them still find their way back there. So it's a problem that we are still tackling. There's free education, there's the skills acquisition everywhere. Even the palace partnering with the state government, private sector, all. There was a time UNICEF chief came, so many people they come, and we're still trying to get there to keep them in the state. That's why I want to make the state a modern place where if they want to go there for education, they go there, at least come back. Or if they don't want to go, at least make the states, make it a developed place where they can have the choice of staying. So I just wanted to clear that part. Then also the tourism sector. We have, okay, the entertainment. Okay, thank you. Hold on.
Thank you. With regards to the tourism sector, the state is actually putting in a lot of effort to enhance that currently. I mean, we're looking at setting up a few resorts within the northern parts of the state. We're looking at exposing more of our arts and culture, especially the crafts, because that actually sells faster. Let me put it that way. Or rather, that will sell faster, and it's easier to export, and it's easier to also talk about it. So there's a lot going on with tourism and the culture sector right now, which we are trying to exploit on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Shil.
For me, it's just for your IGR, you mentioned a lot of work that you've been doing in terms of reforming the IRS. But from the numbers that came in this morning, in terms of IGR, Edo State has only increased by 6%. So you're still within the 13 billion band. So that means it hasn't increased much. What are you doing in terms of increasing your tax base, capturing more people in the tax net, especially the informal sector? So that's one. Also, what are you doing in terms of developing SMEs as an intervention for unemployment or for employment for your demographic of 18 to 35, which seems to be that demographic that Toyosi was talking about that goes out. And also, what are you doing in terms of, okay, this going back to the funding, your funding of your plan. I didn't see much about private sector. What framework do you have to bring in investment? What are you proactively doing to source for, partnerships with private sector to fund this your plan? Because a lot of it can be funded through your relationship with private sector.
Okay, thank you again. Like you said, you didn't notice increase in the IGR. Thank you, but somebody's telling me to stop behind you.
You can answer before you stop.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, in terms of the increasing IGR, like I mentioned, the land use charge, we're trying to make it easy and increase the tax base. So many people still, they don't feel comfortable paying the IGR, but through the thing, making them, trying to register all the businesses, try to sensitize them on why they need to pay like that. So for our projection for 2019, our IGR, like you said, that figure you have is about 26 million, but we intend to have close to 40 million in 2019, with so many measures put in place for the year. Then developing SMEs. Yes, we'll have the small grant. It's not even, you won't pay back any interest. They give them this amount for their small, just a little amount of money, and when they set up their businesses, they just pay monthly. Then the ministry goes there to visit them, but we know we've not covered a good number, but at least we have that in place. Then the private sector, if you notice, the representative of Excellency mentioned that the president was supposed to be here to commission the Azura power plant, which is a private sector project. So I think we've also, just I didn't mention that, sorry, but we'll have the private sector also partnering with us or doing so many things in the state. Thank you.